He says, this happened a few months ago, but I've recently been told I took things too far. Well, I'm going to let everybody here watching this decide if he took things too far. I'm active duty military. My wife and I began trying for a baby about 2 years ago after we got married, and after a few months, she got pregnant with our first child. About 6 weeks after she found out, I was deployed for a 6-month stint. Sadly, that meant that I would miss all of her OB appointments except the very first one to confirm that she was in fact pregnant. Early in her pregnancy, she decided using a midwife would give her a better birth experience, and I was totally on board because she's the one giving birth, and I wanted her to feel 100% confident in the people assisting. Okay. Besides, he's going to be gone 6 months of her pregnancy and everything. It had also been decided that the people in the room, aside from medical staff, would be me, for obvious reasons, and one of our mothers. My mom was about an hour by car from the base that I'm stationed at, while her mom was a 4-hour plane ride away. Ideally, her mom would be able to get there in time, but she loves my mom too, and was okay with her being there if labor went fast, and her mom couldn't make it in time. Fast forward to me getting back from the deployment, and her being really close to giving birth. Like due in a week close. She was supposed to have the OB appointment that I would be able to go to, but ended up going into labor very early on the morning of the appointment. Man, that baby wanted to be born. We go to the hospital, a civilian hospital, and they confirm that she's in active labor. I called her mom, who immediately booked a flight that would have gotten her here about noon. Then my mom, who came into the hospital a few hours later. Okay, all is well. What could possibly go wrong in this situation? Well, you're about to see. After a while, later on, the midwife comes to see my wife, and was rude from the start. Okay, meeting the husband for the first time, you think they'd all be friends. Nope, she's rude to him. Gee, I wonder why. My wife told her I was back from deployment, and she calmed down a little bit, but was still clearly not happy that I was in the room. Bitch, I'm your employer. We hired you to help my wife. I'm the husband. You better get an attitude adjustment real quick. Especially once I started cracking jokes to try to distract my wife from the pain of the contractions. Then the midwife glared at me and told me to take this seriously and have the respect for my wife while she's in pain. Again, Miss Ogre Lady, I'm the husband here. I've known my wife longer than you. My wife probably wants me to crack jokes to help distract her from this ordeal she's going through. And by the way, guys, he points out later on, she did ask him to distract her. You don't tell me what to do in here, lady. I thought her hostility was weird, but was more focused on my wife and doing all I could to support her. As it got closer to noon, my wife was almost 9 centimeters dilated, and so I decided to not go pick up her mom from the airport and had her take a cab instead. So I wouldn't have to leave her for over an hour to drive to the airport. When her mom did get to the hospital, I left the L&D floor briefly to go downstairs and pay the cab driver so her mom wouldn't need to. As the cab pulled up, I got money from my mom, telling me that I got a call from my mom telling me that the OB and midwife were there and the baby was coming fast. Of course, I rushed back up there after tossing some cash to the cab driver so her mom and I could be there for the birth. Again, this child really wants to be born, and this guy's rushing around like crazy. Now watch this. When I get back to the L&D floor, my mom was in the waiting room since she had to step out to make a phone call, and also she knew she'd be waiting outside. I used the intercom to ask to be let back in, and to my surprise, I was denied entry. They said that they had an order to not let me or anyone else see my wife. Are you freaking kidding me? Get me the head of the fucking department right now. My wife is in labor, about to give birth to our first child. I assure you she wants to see me there, and I'm going to see her as well as the mom here. That was really confusing, so I asked why, and was told I wouldn't be allowed to let in and not to tie them up on the intercom or security would be called. Now they're threatening me with security? Oh, I smell a lawsuit. So the three of us waited outside since my wife didn't answer her phone as she was actively pushing our baby out. Well, over 2 hours later, she was able to call me back and asked, where had I been? Where had I been, honey? I've been out here. I was banned from getting in there. Apparently, I couldn't get in. And guess what, guys? The wife doesn't know either. Gee, who do you think's involved in this? I told her the hospital staff wouldn't let me in, but I've been in the waiting room trying to get answers for almost 2.5 hours. Long story short, it was the midwife who told the desk staff that I wasn't allowed to be let back in. She lied and said my wife had reported that I was abusive and she didn't want me there. So not only did my poor wife have to give birth alone and without me or her mom there for support, I missed the birth of our daughter. It meant a lot to me to be there to see my baby born and come into this world because I missed so much of the pregnancy, and that was ripped away from me because of this awful woman didn't like that I never showed up to a single appointment during the entire pregnancy. Despite being told by my wife I was deployed. So, with my wife's support, I filed a formal complaint about the midwife, and she ended up getting fired by the OB's office. Well, thank the Lord for that. Now, I was finishing the paragraph here. This guy was robbed of seeing his child born. Now, I know people that have been there for childbirth, it ain't a pretty thing, but the point is, he wanted to see his child, his daughter being brought into this world, the first child. The wife wanted her husband there to hold her hand and say it's going to be okay. I mean, I'm sure she wanted to squeeze his hand and say, you did this to me, you son of a bitch. But the point is, he wanted to be there, she wanted to be there, and this fucking, I'm going to say, C-U-N-T, ruined the whole thing. Oh, no. Lawsuit, baby. Lawsuit. Get her fired, as he did. Lawsuit so she loses her license. And I know who also needs to be sued? The hospital. Because they let some stranger who didn't have the authority, they could argue she had the authority, but you get the point. I'm sure lawyers would be salivating at this opportunity to sue a hospital. There you go. My wife is naturally on my side, but some of our friends have said I was wrong to make such a big deal out of it and taking away the woman's livelihood. Was I the a-hole for reporting her, which caused her to lose her job? I like the perspective of people outside the situation. No, you're not the a-hole. That psycho bitch is the a-hole. All your friends are fucking morons. How do you think they'd feel? Are these friends of yours, are they parents? Do they have any experience with this whatsoever? And if they are, they're dumbasses and I cut them out of your life. Absolutely, she lose her job and her license and sue the hospital. Absolutely, but we're not done here yet. But anyhow, so what do you think's going on with the midwife? Do you think she's just some angry, pissed off effeminist? Possibly. Do you think maybe she's in love with the wife, that she bats for the other team, if you will, and she's in love with the wife and she's possessive and psycho? Perhaps. But the point is, absolutely she get fired. Now you give us some more info here. It says, I took some advice and contacted JAG, military lawyers, to meet with an attorney about taking further steps. I have a meeting scheduled for Monday afternoon to discuss what and should be done to ensure that this does not happen to anyone else in the future. Thanks to everyone who offered support, and screw those who DM me to tell me I'm garbage for being in the military and deserve to die because they think I hit my wife. You all have a place in hell. You can count on Reddit to have people immediately attack him because he's in the military and saying he was doing that. There's nothing in it. He did anything, for God's sakes. He also says, since some people are caught up with me paying for my mother-in-law's cab and the jokes I was making with my wife, I'll clear it up. I made jokes because she asked me to distract her from the pain by making her laugh. We were both making jokes, not just me. I also paid for my mother-in-law's cab because my wife told me to make sure I went down there and paid, and also because it was the right thing to do since she didn't choose to take the cab. That was my choice since it was the last minute. Yeah, of course, these Reddit jerk-offs were giving him a hard time. Now his update. This update was like a week later after his original post. So I met with the JAG attorney on Monday, and it seems like I have a good case for going after her license, as well as possible defamation lawsuit. You're darn right. She's a certified nurse midwife, so she has a license that can be revoked or suspended. Revoke it. No, there is no excuse for what she did. No slap on the wrist. No fucking mercy. I'm not convinced it needs to be revoked altogether, but I do think she should be suspended for a while and forced to get more training in her field. Smack! Get more training in her field? She's an asshole. No amount of training can she get to change that she's an asshole. Again, back to Spaceballs, surrounded by assholes. She is an asshole. She's selfish. She robbed you and your wife of that experience. No. And sue the hospital. The attorney JAG assigned to me is a parent herself and seemed genuinely appalled that someone would have to miss the birth of their child because a member of the medical staff used their influence to deny entry back into the maternity wing, especially when it's for a made-up reason that could have gotten me in a lot of trouble with the Navy. There's a whole other element to that. Right. Darn right, defamation, as well as other things. My wife was able to come with me to the meeting and had a brief conversation along with the JAG. On the drive home, she told me when they spoke about, and basically the attorney just needed to confirm that everything the midwife said about me being abusive and false is false and unfounded. When my wife told her that I have never, ever, and would never lay a hand on her or the kid, she asked if my wife felt any sort of emotional distress about me not being there for the birth. I love the lawyers asking, were you feeling emotional distress? We all know what comes from that. She confirmed that she does, and that's when it was decided that we would try to build a case for more than just possible medical malpractice. I got no problem with this. We don't care about any monetary gain. If we were awarded anything, it would go to the educational account for our daughter or be donated to a charity. We are in agreement that the midwife should have to answer for what she did, though. She took away a once-in-a-lifetime experience from me. Even if we were to have more kids, I'll never get back the lost experience of not seeing my firstborn come into this world. Thank you. Exactly. So that's where things stand right now. Any further updates will mostly be a long way off since there's going to be a pending litigation soon. Thank you to almost everyone who commented and offered encouragement. It gave me the push I needed to seek out legal remedy for the situation. My wife and I are truly thankful. Well, sir, whoever you are, I wish you all luck with your baby and as your wife in a healthy recovery. And even though, married in the military, we all know that, we're going to hope that they're actually a happy couple. There's no cheating going on here. This is indeed his daughter. But anyhow, you're darn right, go after them. And they say they don't want any money, but they just want to make sure the bitch is fired. Somebody pays for this so it doesn't happen again. Fine. Take that money and put it in the daughter's college fund, or take that money and donate to a charity. The lawyers will get their 1/3 of the lawsuit, and the rest can go to a charity. And the hospital will think twice before fucking around like that, and that bitch will lose her license, hopefully, and that's the end of it. So, and to the people that were saying he's an a-hole, the absolute hell with them. I mean, what are they, other freaking mind? So anyway, guys, let's hear in the comment section. Do you think he went too far with this? I'd like to know about that. And by the way, I forgot to credit, shout out to Tim for sending me the story from the beginning.